you, Lord. Jesus Christ. And I lift my voice. Your Outlook account settings are out of date. Sorry. Time out. I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul. Rejoice, take joy, my King, in what you hear. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound, in your ears. I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul. Rejoice, take joy, my King, in what you hear. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. I exalt thee, I exalt thee, I exalt thee, O Lord, I exalt thee, I exalt thee, I exalt thee, O Lord, I exalt thee, I exalt thee, I exalt thee, O Lord. All right, so 3 minutes later, I know this song made me get a headache, but anyway, so the thing that was going through my mind while I was singing that for you was this whole thing about people in your life diss you and reject you and shun you because things are never perfect enough for them. And when you go places and people don't smile at you, it's because it's a cunty culture. And I've taught this, whether it be in the classroom or whether it be online or through private practice counseling, but it's important to love the unlovely, and it's important to be friends of the friendless, and it's important to admire people even if they don't have the motivation to chase the black dragon's red tail, a race to nowhere, money, 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 and greed and corruption. When you find somebody that doesn't have that corruption, it's very important to align yourself with them and to tune in for the energy impact and, of course, the direct cultural impact that you're going to get from them socio-spiritually. In Sociology 1A, self-perception is based on people that perceive you in passing, and you have eye contact, and you understand the way they perceive you, so therefore you perceive yourself that way sociologically in society. And that's why it's so important to be shock rock and to, you know, doctor things up and dress things down and dress things up and you know, don't really care what people think about you, okay? You've lived your whole life caring about what people do think of you, that now you're very insecure and you realize you don't have any friends that love you. Because people don't know how to love the unlovely and be friends with the friendless and find the perfection inside the imperfection. People are too scared to stick out their heads and help other people and give out of what they need and give out of what they don't have in order to serve people through Christ. We are called to love. When we say Jesus this, Jesus that, the church this, the church that, the Bible this, the Bible that, we're talking about being called to love. So if everything is very convoluted and verbose and bullshit and it's very contrived and you trying to live up to the Christian standards with the racist God, you know, swing over the pendulum and find me because I'm your Antichrist. I am the Antichrist against the racist God, Christ. I'm against the God that throws bombs in the name of Jesus, Jesus. Yeah, it's important to be an anti-Jesus to that type of thing because I believe that we should not have guns. I believe that we should lay down all international, intercontinental, government, military armaments and get rid of all nuclear as an option and pursue a life of tranquility and love and humility. I mean, George W. Bush, we totally miss, but when he was president, we didn't like him, and now we have Donald J. Trump, and people miss George W. Bush. When you go back and look at your history, you miss it. But when you're living through it at that moment in time in history, when you were first person and you were living it up the best you could, you wanted more and nothing was ever good enough for you. So when you look back at your history and your past, you have absolute marvel. You might have post-traumatic stress disorder and you might be borderline personality disorder and schizophrenia and manic depression, which I live with. I live with bipolar manic depression. And all those things that make you backup, complete your backup to passport was successful. Good. It's all about backup, archives, storage, organization when you do anything online like myself. So, rewind. Because of mental deficiency, that could be nutrition or it could be chemical imbalance that you need to go see your psychiatrist for. There are oftentimes prejudgments you make and you judge people when you shouldn't be judging them, and you realize that you let go of possibly good friends if you look back in your past 15 years ago. But you didn't want anything to do with them because they were homeless or they were ugly like myself, or they were shock rock and they made you uncomfortable like myself, or just plain out poor, or don't really have parents that were you know, motivating them to complete university and have the American life, which the American dream is a nightmare. We know that. Now, the greatest the greatest challenge of all is that man needs to show himself who he is. It's not about what you demand that people show you in order to masturbate your ego or give you your money hard on and make you feel like you're going somewhere because of corruption and greed. If you hold on to the dead past, okay, that might give you pain and suffering because you have remorse, you're not believing in the requirement of a good measure to move forward for a humane life sustainability. Okay, this is all very social sciences. I'm not speaking Jesus. I'm not speaking anything, you know, over your head. Okay, I'm just speaking sociology. And in society, you have to have the good measure to not criticize yourself, to not judge yourself, to be careful when you measure yourself and you analyze yourself, and you assess yourself, and you evaluate, and you stereotype yourself. All these words mean the same thing, and it all makes people very unfocused and unstable, because when they find out they are not living up to what they think they need to be living up to in order to find people with money that will take care of them and love on them, right? They potentially grow into a negative relationship with themselves, and they hate their lives, they feel lost, and they think it's fortitude to want to kill yourself, because all of our celebrities do it. Or to get loaded on drugs and to enter a commitment of values that are below the values that you have always been trying to deal with no matter the host of many feelings that you may have had. Now, in your formative years, and you look back regarding self-definition and common sense and change, you need to acknowledge that in your character that you have tried to acknowledge everything that you can. And maybe you have mental amnesia and you forget things. That's all right. It does not mean that you are a piece of shit. Okay. Now, in Social Alchemy Project Access Management, we are to be of substance and not just beauty, power, and cock hard-ons. Okay? It's very important that we reinstate what we say A, B, and C requires as a man. We are falling apart because we are finding that the things we have thrived in people's egos and compliments, and us thinking that they're neutral and they do like us, even if things go bad, they're still going to like us because we have something that they want, is a negative remark against yourself. Okay? And that makes your life strong after you've destroyed some of your karma and you don't know how to actually love and be loved. The core elements of friendship is starting with the relationship you have by controlling your mind and knowing that you are love. Okay. Now this might be hard for people to wrap their minds around, but it's important in my work for Friends of Tyler or Hamilton Admirers, or the energy center that I'm creating, the all-male energy center, almost like a men's health connection spiritual center, what have you. These things are important because when you live honest and authentic after seeing your bad personality and your good personality and choosing to love the unlovely in yourself, you find out that you have more love to go around than what you had even originally for yourself because of self-hatred, self-condemnation, and all the jazz that Christianity seems to teach people to do. Christianity also, when it teaches you to beat yourself up, it limits your creativity and it puts a hold on you accepting yourself and loving yourself. I heard one pastor by the name of Carr, C-A-R-R. He is a pastor of a Calvary Chapel in Arroyo Grande, and he said, because Mark, the book of Mark in the Bible states that who can love you except God yourself. So he says that you don't have the right to love yourself. When you love yourself, you accept your faults and you acknowledge your fault and you make peace with your demons, even if it doesn't mean necessarily going out and having orgies with your demons. You are making friends with your demons. And it's important to see yourself as you really are. And when you do that, you can go beyond the hoo-ha of the people that hate you. In a schizophrenic, gay, male political stratosphere, so to speak, we are at an element in ourselves that those core elements to friendship with ourselves are important, because then we know how to not be moved by the reactive mind when people like Donald J. Trump says, without any consciousness, I grab pussy, which is basically sexual assault, with no conscience because I'm a celebrity. And also, I hire prostitutes. Now, that's not even saying he has 4,300 lawsuits against him. When he came into office, he had 100. After a year, it hit 4,000. So, in the world of living it up and being an enemy to yourself and putting high standards on people that they cannot meet because you are their enemy, you are not showing the love that you need to get past the perverted works of your own thinking because of your mental illness. In the, I would say, culture of wanting to get down on your knees and eat that bunny fur, you are cheating yourself on living saved. And you undergrade yourself and demean yourself and demise and humiliate your life because you are angry with yourself because you have not been able to live up to the goals that you set out for yourself. So We can go on and on and on about that, but if you don't have some type of element of friendship with yourself, you're unable to get the rewards of yourself that add up to healthier living. You are a man starting your meaningful work in a human kindness society with the anti-corruption and human greed disabling and ending the loneliness and the crippling shame to reach that final chance to do something very important that's extraordinary smart. This is really about not being vindictive, but it's about leaving the vicious circle that you have for yourself. And also knowing that in a global human family, you cannot have globalization of viciousness and violence when it is friends of one world. So we should not be for guns. We should not be for violence. It's love that is the protector. Well, if somebody has a gun and they want to threaten me, shouldn't I have a gun? No. Visualize yourself giving them food. Visualize yourself welcoming them into your home and say, I give you my love. Now let's talk about you owning a gun. Okay? You have to have the right perspective when you're talking about being a gun owner. Period. Or you're not going to get very far with proper social justice prevalence and democracy promotion without force. Now, moving right along. The cry of your heart is to have yourself as a man to be loved and to love. We're not talking about sodomizing yourself. That means anal intercourse. We're not talking about what you suck and how you suck, and that just might be your own you suck as a person, but it could also mean sexuality. But as you are a gay man and you are having a heart filled with what matters as friendship to yourself and your environment around you, you are the cause of deep despair when you start saying, I hate myself, I made a mistake. Okay? I am not the type of theorist that says you should get the word hate from out of your vocabulary. I am not one that pushes away vocabulary that is articulative of a deep emotion of yourself. Okay, I'm not playing New Thought Christianity and telling you hate doesn't exist. But I'm telling you not to be afraid of yourself if you hate yourself, because it only takes seconds for you to start thinking better about yourself. Now, when you demand to go beyond the limitations and the shadows of your prejudice, you uproot something that now you are able to lead yourself to where you don't have to be afraid, and you know that people need emotional connection with other men. And you are there to grasp that because you know where people are going in the detriment and devastation for a world that is lost in politics because of the mind of money, the mind of money hard-ons, the money of masturbating your ego, okay, the money of ditch the bitch and make the switch because rich fuck America with gay men have more money. Or even looking at how you are needing to hold yourself accountable to the whole mantra, if you're a CEO, control everyone, or money hard-ons, but that whole mantra of fuck the buck and take the buck from the schmuck. Shut out people because it's buck the fuck and fuck the schmuck. Everything that has to do with dumbing people down. When you go out and you enlist yourself as someone who is influential in a money-making market, you don't go in that by not being friends with people. If you go in chasing the dollar bill and making enemies with people, you're only damning yourself to become lost and to have a fucking mindfuck up here because of your own perception in society, because of what people are showing you they perceive you as. Perception, friendship, money, gay men, these are important things. Because when God created you to be essential in one's joy, to lead one to eternal love, knowing that they are meant to last and they are not going to hell, you start a good work and a good thing where men are now eternal, and you have affected their mirror neurons back here. Your mirror neurons back here have affected their neurons behind their cortex. And both hemispheres start growing in the brain because people don't have to be afraid, scared, and frightened that they're going to be rejected in a culture of approval. It's the approval culture, really. I mean, if you don't subscribe to the approval culture where what school you go to depends on what kind of corporation you work for, so everybody goes to Harvard, or if you don't have a good job, you can't live in a good neighborhood. Or if you don't have a job because you don't have the skills or the university education, then you are going to be forgotten and you're going to be invisible. You need to notice the confidentiality and protection rights you have for your own self, so you're not going to think, oh, I got to commit suicide. Because now, since I can't get the job, I'm now homeless because America is the approval system. This is very rocky ground. And this is not going to lead you to going beyond sausage and corn dogs on a stick, swinging between your legs with syphilis, hepatitis C, and asshole ketchup with shit on it. You know, let's really get to the sentiments that don't supposed to be anti-gay sentiments, but they're supposed to be very realistic. We are all infallible. We're all, to the greatest expense, shock rock to the future. We all have an obligation to stand up for not being stubborn like a male mule jackass, but really going forward and saying, we know that we don't have to cuss ourselves out all the time, but can accept ourselves in the social and behavioral sciences, and we can start learning to not be a nightmare to ourselves, but be friends for ourselves and have a basically not have a nigger Hitler Christmas. And I say that because it's not meant to sound everybody, because I said those words, are thinking, oh my god, that's racist, oh my god. No. Put the words together, don't be afraid, and see what they mean for you, and get back to me. We are not trying to promote ignorance, crime, slavery, Hitler, demonstrations of mentally corrupt people because we're accepting your mental illness. Do you see what I mean? Just because we are acknowledging your mental illness does not devoid you from seeing and knowing love. And when you know love and you're not hiding in hate and fear of having more losses in your life, you, in love, are able to love those that are unlovely, that have been discriminated against because of racism. Or you're able to be touched by Jesus loving on you and doing something in your soul that happens to be the thing of your new life, because the real God in you is not angry. It's of surrender. That's really the message of the cross. And that's the message of being a millennial in a gay man's free world with more invisibility due to Christians not liking you. People are so invested in the time that they give to help themselves that they don't know how to love the unlovely in themselves. And when they find something in themselves that's lacking friendship and good perception, they become broken, and they find that they're supposed to do better, but they can't. They haven't fulfilled their goals, so they what? They believe that they are a mockery. They believe they are nothing more than rich Christians that are white that are patronizing them. Listen, one of the big... I've always wanted to be black. One of the big things is that most white people have actually stabbed me in the back than any other culture. And yet I have to allow these people, because they have more money than me, to patronize me and be sarcastic and to treat me like I have AIDS. And if they want to treat me like I have AIDS, fabulous, because AIDS is a reality, and I don't mind people treating me like I do have AIDS. But if they're doing it out of a U.S. psyche and a U.S. spirit of basic spiritual breaking of principles, then I have a problem, because it's discrimination. We have to look after ourselves, and we have to learn our story. One moment. Oh. Okay, so when you go into thinking about the broken person that you are and your impulsivities, or your impulsive behavior, and not knowing how to address your urges, you can believe that you are precise in the technologies that are available to you, and you don't have to be insecure, because you can reach out and you can educate yourself, and it pays enough attention, technology, to you that there's nothing you can lack, and there are incentives and there are entitlements, and you don't have to be intimidated by the persistent threats, but hold true to the accountabilities, even if you are penalized for an incident that you did. Your data breach and inscription on your heart is that technology is very forgiving regarding the personal information and the questions you might have in a very much so insecure digital world, and security of sensitive personal information that is always being jeopardized. Okay, so in the teaching of masculinity and perception and friendships with yourself, we see a lot of need for correction because of our selfishness in holding on to our own misunderstandings of who we are as loving creatures. We have to give out of what we need and give out of what we don't have, to know humiliation and to come back to a void where we then can use the anger positively by saying, I gave, I died, I still exist, and I have resurrected. There is nothing wrong with being selfless, ladies and gentlemen. That is part of being the good, okay, and righting the wrong, making right when something is wrong. That is about the filthy gorgeous, the horniest battle that you have to be loved, and using sex as a tool for attention because you're insecure. When really in your ugly mind you need to sit with yourself and accept these things as the aspects of yourself that lead you to loving yourself more. You then can loosen up your life and the corruption and the greed, and you can pursue more positivism, positive psychology. You don't have to go around acting sneaky. You don't have to resort to that. No. And that sinister behaviorism that comes with gay men that think they have so much value that they are entitled cunts. And in the ministry of Jesus, they can get your money. Jesus was broke. Jesus was poor. Jesus was not going around acting corrupt and greedy. You need to know who you are, and you need to get close to God and understand that your fears are fleeting and temporal and transitory, and be in the present moment. This is anti-corruption and human greed disabler, not just only with spiritual principles for your New Thought Christianity, but also the anti-corruption and human greed disabler that I have been working on studying, because all anti-corruption agencies have all become corrupt. And when we say drain the swamp over there, we end up draining our own swamp. Case in point, Donald J. Trump. So when we start saying lock her up, we're saying lock me up. When we're saying pedophile, we're saying you're the child molester, or you are the when I say pedophile, I don't mean child molester, I mean people that try to put one over on you because you are naive and innocent, and so they try to steal your money from you. Because this is all about money hard-ons, it's all about corruption, greed, grabbing pussy, hiring prostitutes, lying to the IRS. This is basically where men stand right now. And it's deceit, it's lies, it's selfishness, it's an unwillingness to deal with one's mistakes, it's bad money hard-ons, it's men who become not change agents, but become enemies of themselves because they what? They lack proper self-definition, self-perception, friendship of self, morality, and how real their ways of Satanism have become because they are conditioned to be greedy, and they connect with people that are as greedy, and everybody gets along because, you know, they're paying for your drinks. You need to renew your mind and then pertain to the luckier life, which is dependent on acknowledging your filthy mind and moving forward. Saying, okay, this is shock rock, this is for art, this is for political activism, it's to be applied toward the criminal justice reform or restorative justice, or what have you in your studies of law enforcement. Men are not helping men prosper when they are going only for the sex. Okay? That plays a role in prosperity and being affectionate and letting touch come into your life. But in a God's spiritual kingdom of love, it goes beyond sex, and you people know that. Out of all your chakras in your body, the lowest vibration of chakra in your body is actually right here. Your genitals. So help yourself reduce HIV and STDs. Help yourself because LA is the fastest carrier of STDs. It's the largest problem in the nation here in LA. Men need to be very honest and do an honest inventory of themselves, whether it's porn, drugs, profanity, whoredom, angry, humiliating sex, codependency, addictive behavior to cock, explaining big cock and culture as a theory. There is a need for us to be the change agent and the agency of change, however you want to word that. This is all I'm going to leave you with today. And it is a literary educator in you of cross-disciplinary literacy. That's a very important point, that when you become more intelligent to your own life, you learn your past. You understand that only God can stand the truth. And in your little finite mind, you are expected by you to understand these truths that we are discussing, you have to have a cooperation deal with people. You have to have a WWJD, what would Jesus do? Excuse me, sorry for that being slow. You have to understand mental illness. You have to understand what men do to men after poor servitude leadership and criminal behavior of a president or a public administrator, one of great fall that we must reinstate is deserving still of God's love and forgiveness. What men are, and to sow discord in USA due to male sociological breakdown means that that social dissonance is at your call. You are the residual value. You are the money that is the author of separated relationships and family. As an existentialist, you have to look through the corruption prosecutor and the incoordination and be at the direction of faith, no matter the criminally minded men around you with finance, to be a campaign to end the violation that are caused by these money hard-ons, because people have such low definition of who they are that they become corrupt. And they think they're exact because they're providing livelihood for women or other men. But the concern is that there's perjury and treason and collusion and obstructions of justice in our own spiritual worlds, because corruption is a flaw, it's a bug, and it is a feature in our lives. This is what I've implicated to you, is that the political influentials of male power, domination, cock and culture, male dominance of culture, economic intimidation against women, rape, is corrupting and is complete power that destroys a nation when it is too late to drain the swamp with a moral or immoral president. You are the change for yourself to reinstate what psychological masculinity is, to take very seriously the warranty and the replacement application that you give in your mind. Because in your imperfect mind is perfection. The mind naturally tries to make sense out of itself. It is the enrichment awareness workshop for you that you can begin by starting to see who you are in light of a loving Christ, a loving Jesus. I love you, I love you, I love you. Mwah. Bless you. Now I can take this off. Ugh. God, I have gray hair. I gotta change that gray hair. Oh, I hate myself. Oh, I need more money. Oh, how should I lie to get more money? See, that's what goes through our minds, and it's not really advantageous to your humane life sustainability. I love you, I love you, I love you. Peace out.